Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. West Ham winless at home since a 2-0 win against Leicester on February the 27th. The question on our script today is,
Don't ask me.
there a more toxic home ground in world football?
It's a horrible question.
Actually, the answer to that is yes, I bet there is, because it isn't toxic.
It's apathetic.
It's apathetic. It's not toxic at all. There's a horrible acceptance that the football is not good enough, and the stadium is not good enough, and the club is not good enough.
And this is another game where Newcastle away from home will fancy it. You probably fancy West Ham to grind out a result more if this game was at St James's Park for the reasons you've just mentioned. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of empty seats. The team selection is going to be interesting because the last two lineups that Nuno Espirito Santo has named have baffled all of us. I thought the way you delivered the team news last Friday night was on point because you were as stunned as all the West Ham fans. They've got a couple of injuries as well. Matterface is out for 6 weeks. They've lost Ollie Scholes, who's obviously just come into the team. He's going to miss a few months as well. Is he going to play a striker at home? Is he going to play Callum Wilson against his old club?
Well, he admitted to me that he'd made a mistake on Friday night. He said that look, if you make a mistake and you realise that you haven't got it right, you should change it quickly. And he did. He changed it after 20 minutes. They were 2-0 down by that point. But I didn't really get what he was trying to do.
No, I didn't either. And even people sort of say since Wilson came on, West Ham were a lot better. Well, actually, immediately afterwards, they still conceded 3 or 4 chances, certainly 2 or 3 really good chances, and could have gone 3 or 4-0 down. It wasn't until the second half where actually the game was kind of won. And I know what it's like when you're 2-0 up at half time. It's more about game management. You're not going to be at it in the way that you were in the first half. So naturally, they won't look as vulnerable as they did in the first half. I do worry for West Ham. I do. I mean, you look at Nuno and you would think he'd be the perfect man to get them away from the relegation zone. And yet, there are question marks already against what he's done.
I'm told it's a long-term thing with him, though, and that I think they've decided that he's going to be the one that is given the keys to the castle and get on with it, and build slowly. And I think that's why he felt emboldened to be able to change the team he did on Monday night and then again on Friday. I think that was I don't know what it was about, but I'm guessing it's got to be something to do with management of dressing room.
Sam, I like Nuno, I really do, and I think he's a good appointment for where West Ham are right now. But I was part of the squad: Di Canio, Defoe, Joey Cole, Mickey Carrick, David James, Trev Sinclair. I could go on. That we went down. It's still a Premier League record of 42 points.
The stats for that season are unbelievable. All the goals came down the left-hand side.
That's, unfortunately, I was deemed not good enough to even get into that team, but not often. But my point is, you win the next game and then you change that confidence, because the longer it goes on where you're losing games, you always think there's the next game and the next game. Before you know it, you're Christmas and then you're January and then you're February and you're still down there and you're running in treacle, and it's a very difficult thing to do. He needs to stop the rot and stop the rot now, and he needs to find a way to do that. He has to play Callum Wilson in my book, even if he can't play the whole 90 minutes. Not just because they need a striker, but I think most football players will ask you when they play against their former club, whether it was good or bad experience, they try just that little bit harder.
Yeah, he said to me on Friday night, we have got a lot of problems in our club right now. And then he went, unfortunately. But he also said, we've been brought in to sort those out. So I think he's sort of going to go through a process. One of the problems is Lucas Paqueta. What's happening? Reports this week saying that he's going to leave in January. That might not be the worst thing if they can get some money for him.
Yeah, that's been played down by my sources at West Ham. I'm told neither he or his camp have expressed to the hierarchy that he wants out. I think he feels maybe that he owes West Ham something for standing by and during his gambling issues or his gambling charges. I think he'll go in the summer. I think that's pretty inevitable, but I don't think they're going to cash in now, because you look at potential match winners, there aren't many. Jared Bowen is one, Paqueta is another, but I've got to say his form's been poor, isn't it? His numbers are not great.
Yeah, but that's just the team overall, I think. I mean, he did score on Friday night, but was deemed to be offside, a very tiny infraction, so he was definitely involved on Friday. Newcastle going for their first away win in the Premier League of the season. I think performances have been better than results suggested in the early part of the season. They've started to add goals now. Voltemada has settled in and they learned how to get the best out of him, they look like a proper team.
Yeah, he's a clever player, isn't he?
Brilliant.
He's not just your typical number 9, but he can drop off and the way he kind of...
looks $1 million as well, doesn't he? He just looks like a cult figure.
Have we decided from what decade, what era yet?
I think it's 70s.
I think 70s.
I think 70s.
Yeah.
A bit
I think
before my time.
Not the way you're looking at the moment.
Crikey. You look 70.
Almost like from the Starsky and Hutch era, but you say
Yeah,
Greece,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah. Is that 70s? It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Late
it is.
70s.
It is. I think Newcastle, even from the start of the season, their performances were much, much better than the results. You know, you look at that Liverpool game, and how did they not even get a point, let alone a win? And
Arsenal at home played pretty
yeah,
well.
you could name 3 or 4 where they certainly didn't get what they deserve. And he's talked about how, you know, they beat my Benfica side 3-0, but actually first half they did concede chances, but the power them showed in the second half. And then Eddie Howe saying we need to show that now in the Premier League. Well, I do feel that the Isak thing is now parked and they can move on, and they are moving on, and Voltemade is showing why. So absolutely, and I'm very worried for West Ham in the long term of this particular season, but for this particular game as well, because Newcastle are in great form right now.
But if you go for that Newcastle squad, you've got 2 very good goalkeepers, Ian Pope and Ramsdale. Ramsdale showed his abilities on Wednesday night, a couple of really good saves.
Your mate Ramesh, he did put in some good saves.
He
We played
made
golf
an
with him
important
recently.
save at 1-0, didn't he?
He did. Really good save down to his left, round the post. Excellent. And they've got 2 good right backs when they're both fit, obviously Trippier and Livramento. They've got a battalion of centre halves now that they can rely on. They've got a very good left back in Lewis Hall, and Dan Burn has been playing there as well, and Livramento can play both sides. The midfield area, which was their key sort of engine room last year that drove them, with Tonali sitting and then Joel Linton, the power and the running and the aggression, and Bruno Guimaraes with that little bit of silk. They've added to that with Willock's playing well. Jacob Ramsey's come into the team and done very well, and Lewis Miley's developed into a very good 6. He can pop the ball around as well. I think they always thought that he was going to be that player, but there are 2 players for every position. You've got the wide boys, Elanga, Barnes, Murphy, Gordon. There's 4 of those, and when he's fit, you've got Visser and Voltemade. So you're in a situation where you've got 2 players for every single position on the pitch, and if you're Eddie Howe, I think you're thinking to yourself, we've got a chance here.
Yeah,
We've
not
got
much was made of it at the time because obviously the Isak situation became a saga, but actually they had a good window on the quiet. Obviously got the Voltemade deal tied up very quickly. Elanga was in the building quite early in pre-season as well. Eddie likes to get players there as soon as possible to get them adjusted to the way that he does things. The squad is a lot deeper, and they need it because obviously they're competing on multiple fronts. You say when Wiss is going to be fit. When he is fit, he's going to be off to the African Cup of Nations, I'm not sure we're going to see much of him this year.
I'm not sure that he'll make the African Cup of Nations. That starts in mid-December. That's a month and a half away. Is he going to be fit by then?
It's touch and go, but we know that African players, this competition means a lot to them.
Of course
so
it does,
if he can get fit, he'll want to go. Newcastle would probably prefer that he didn't, or that his nation make an early exit, but they are light at the top end of the pitch because of his absence.
They'll have him back by January, I think. Although Asula, I think, has played quite well. Actually, he came on and changed the game against Fulham
Nearly left on deadline
Saturday.
day.
He did, but Eddie actually talked about him being the complete package. Once he sort of grows into his body and he gets a little bit more work into him, he fancies him. He thinks he's going to be a very good player. I think that, look, get through to the knockout stage of the Champions League, get Champions League football again, be a cracking season for them. They may even have another run at the
They've
Carabao
got a nice
Cup.
draw in there, home draw in the quarterfinals, so every chance.